Alright, what's up guys? I got another story for you guys today, and this story takes place about 3 months ago. This happened on the 4th of July, and me and Katrina, we were planning on taking acid for a while. We were looking forward to taking this for a couple of months, it seems like. Maybe it was just like a few weeks or something, but nonetheless, we were prepared for this acid trip. It had been about 7 months since my last trip, and I was looking forward to my next trip. I had just taken a really long break because my last trip was just way too intense and I felt like my brain was fried. So I took a long break and let my body heal. So then my body was healed, so then I decided that 4th of July was going to be the day that I had tripped again. And that's what I had done. I had a normal day at work. I waited a little while for Katrina to get to my house, and then she had arrived, and I immediately take this acid. It's about 4 p.m. and Katrina takes a tab too, and we immediately drive to the store. We get some food, get some drinks, get a couple more things that we needed, get some Swishers, the essentials, all that. And while we were walking around the store, that's when I really started to feel it. I was laughing too much. I was smiling. I could not get the smile off of my face. My face had to smile. It felt like my muscles were being frozen into place to smile. It felt so weird. It was such a weird sensation, and my body started tingling, and I just knew I was going to be coming up on a good trip. And Katrina was starting to feel it too, so we had to go rush back over to my house, and we did, and I'm starting to feel it when I get home, just a little bit more, but when I go into my bathroom to smoke a blunt, it really hits. I'm really starting to feel it. I'm seeing colors, I'm seeing everything moving, I'm seeing patterns. It's just quite crazy, and this is like an hour and a half into the trip, maybe about 2 hours even. I remember hitting this blunt a few times, and I didn't really hit it that hard. I was just kind of like sipping on it, and all of a sudden I start seeing all these shapes on the wall. Like, it looked like the Juggalo logo. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but it had more of a jungle vibe to it, and it didn't have an axe in its hand, so that was kind of weird. And throughout the trip, that's what I had seen. I always see that hallucination. It's kind of weird. And after I had taken those couple hits from the blunt, I had put the blunt out, and I walked back into my room. And Katrina's sitting there. She's feeling it. She's chilling, and I'm like, okay, the acid's about to start hitting more. I better be chilling. And that's when I start feeling sick. My stomach starts feeling weird. I'm feeling hot. I just remember feeling really hot. And it kind of reminds me of my other story of the acid on the beach that I had just made. And this feeling goes away pretty quickly, luckily. I just drink water and sit in front of the fan, and eventually it goes away. And by that time, I'm looking at my keyboard. I'm texting my friends like, hey, I'm tripping on acid. Oh my gosh. So crazy right now. And I'm just seeing colors flying off the keyboard. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm seeing colors on the wall. My little speaker's got like a little light display going on, and it's all rainbow colors. So I'm looking at that, and it just looks crazy. And I'm looking at the little light strip that I have on my table and on my wall, and it's just tripping me out. And the music, oh my gosh. I was listening to this advanced vibing playlist. I don't even know what to call it or how to describe it, but it was just like these funky songs, like, I don't know, it had like a little 80s vibe going to it. It had a little stoner vibe, like vibing, sitting and smoking, chill beats to relax/study to, stuff like that. But it was groovy though, and all the lights made it seem like the music was alive. I was really feeling the music all night. I remember I was playing some Grand Theft Auto 5 on my PlayStation, and I remember I was just driving around in this Escalade. I wasn't really even trying to do anything. I was just driving because it looked cool, and there's the sunset and everything looks so nice. And I was listening to some Viper. I was listening to this song called My Life as I Grind. And as I was driving around in this Escalade, everything I was doing, everywhere I was driving, the way that I was moving when I was driving was going along to the song. And I was just driving, turning around on all the streets, making a bunch of sharp turns, and I hear this. And that just tripped me out while I was driving in the game. So the next thing I had done was I lit up another blunt. I went outside and I lit up a blunt. And I had 2 blunts rolled this night. I had another one saved for later in the night. But I'm smoking on this blunt outside, and All the neighbors are outside. They're shooting off their fireworks. There's just this big, heavy fog in the air from everybody setting off fireworks. I'm sitting out there. I'm thinking it's the greatest time of my life. Katrina's in there on her phone or playing video games. And I'm just like, come out here. Like, it is just the most beautiful night ever of my entire life. I was sitting out there. I was staring at the trees, the branches. They were making patterns, and I saw the moonlight in between the trees. And it was just creating these weird triangular patterns. And for some reason, I felt like the trees were trying to communicate with me or something. Like, they're saying, look how beautiful I am. Come over here. Look at me swaying in the wind. Stuff like that. Like, they weren't actually talking to me like, hey, what's up? But anyway, I'm sitting out there smoking this blunt. I'm finishing it. I'm just having a beautiful night. It's just beautiful out. And we were listening to this Bones song. And he's like, nighttime, rolling with the windows down. And it just kind of went along with what was happening, because we were just chilling, puffing on this blunt, listening to these songs. And these songs were just going along with everything that was happening. It was the craziest thing ever. And I was looking outside, and I really felt like I was a part of something. Like, everybody was setting off their fireworks. And I thought it was so crazy because of COVID, our neighborhood, they said we weren't allowed to set off fireworks. So I was like, oh, I guess nobody's going to set off fireworks this year. And that was completely wrong. That was really kind of stupid for me to wonder, because of course everybody's be setting off all their fireworks. That's what they do on the 4th of July. That's the American spirit. And I felt the American spirit. I felt the oneness and the wholeness of being part of the neighborhood. And even though I wasn't like chilling with my neighbors and their kids and stuff, they were still out there having a fun time. And I was feeling their happy energy. So everything was just happy. Everything was beautiful. I was looking out. It was sunset. It wasn't really like sunset because it was kind of like a little rainy earlier in the day. But the smoke from all of the fireworks going off, it made this weird like purplish, bluish color over the entire sky. And the Bones song was still playing, and we were looking out the window, and it was just so beautiful. It was what I would expect and envision from listening to that song. Like, you know how you imagine yourself in a music video? This is what I imagined myself being, like, all the time when I listened to that song for years. And I finally got to experience it. Just sitting, looking at some purple skies, smoking on a blunt, tripping on some acid. Like, what could be better than that? And about 11 o'clock rolls around, and Katrina says she needs to go home. Like, okay, kind of weird that you're going home. You know, I'm tripping on acid. You're tripping on acid. I don't really think it's a good idea for you to go home. And also, I kind of want to, you know, have somebody there watching me until I, like, go to sleep. Like, I don't know. I hadn't tripped in a while, and it was a pretty intense trip. So I was like, I kind of want, like, somebody's company. And I was being really weird about it. I was like, no, you're not leaving. I must have sounded like a serial killer. I didn't know how to talk. Like, I was having issues, like, forming sentences. I didn't know what to say or how to word it. So we say our goodbyes, but that was not the end of the night. I chill in my room for about an hour or so, and I hear this noise on the door. It sounded like some knocking. You know, I was like, well, it's midnight. It might just be somebody setting off fireworks or something. And a minute later, a minute goes by, and I hear it again. I'm like, well, that doesn't really sound like fireworks. That sounds like somebody knocking on my door. I'm sitting there. I'm like half naked. And I thought for some reason it was my mom. I don't know. For some reason whenever I'm tripping and it's like the middle of the night and I hear some noise outside, I just think it's my mom. And yeah, but it wasn't my mom. I opened the door. I see somebody sitting there and I thought it was my mom. And it's Katrina. Katrina's sitting out there. I'm sitting out there half naked. I'm like, oh, hello. And I was like, oh my, I forgot I was naked. And it was just a really awkward moment. It was really funny. Now I can sit back and laugh at it. But at the moment, it was kind of awkward. And she's like, want to go on a little adventure? And it's midnight. I'm thinking, it's midnight. Why would I want to go out? And then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm tripping on acid. I'm going to be up like till 3 a.m. So I'm like, totally, let's go. So I get in the car. We're sitting in the car. We take a couple dabs. And then we're off. We're going somewhere. I didn't really know where we were going. And then she's like, okay, we're going to the jetties. And the jetties, they're basically like this place by this naval port. A lot of like Navy people, I guess, are around there. But there's like fishing and restaurants and stuff. It's like a giant sandbar, and people just go and sit there in their cars. And that's like a place where we go to smoke. So I was like, okay, let's go. And we go there. We drive for like 20 minutes, and we end up there. And there's just people everywhere. The police are there. It's kind of crazy. So Katrina's like, oh, no, 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 we can't be here. So we just go back over to my house, and we smoke a little, and then she goes home. So I'm alone in my room again, and I'm just chilling, I'm vibing. I'm finishing this blunt. I go outside, and then I come back inside, and I'm looking at the floor. I'm looking at the way that my LED light strip is green and how it's like all over the floor. And I see this pattern, and at first I just see like green and blue and like squiggly lines, I guess. And then I start taking a closer look at it. And it was just so weird how my perception was changing, because it was kind of moving when I was moving and getting smaller when I got closer. But it was all these little froggy chairs from Animal Crossing, and I just thought it was the craziest hallucination I've ever had on acid. Well, I'd say it's the second craziest, because I remember I had hallucinated a whole ass tree, but that's another story for another time. And at this point, it's about 1:30 or 2:30 at night, and I'm trying to fall asleep. It's pretty hard to fall asleep when you close your eyes and you're seeing all these crazy patterns and images. And it took me a while to fall asleep. It felt like a few hours before I actually fell asleep. I was laying in bed. I was kind of just listening to music, enjoying the visuals, and then I just fell asleep. I just dozed off eventually, and at that point, the acid kind of wore off. And I woke up the next day, and I was still, like, for the first 10 seconds of being awake, I was like hallucinating the same juggalo guys up on the ceiling. It was really weird. But eventually it went away, and the next day, I smoked, played my games, and by 12 p.m. I was already asleep. So I had basically slept the whole entire next day after the trip. And this is pretty much the rest of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.